Hello and good day. Presenting Motivational and Inspirational Quotes by my favorite pastor in the world, Joel Osteen. Here are now 10 more quotes, 411 through 420. Let's get started with number 411. When we run to Him with open arms, casting our cares aside, He will embrace us. By having simple, childlike faith, we don't have to figure everything out. We don't have to have all the answers. We just trust Him. Won't you let that be you today? 412. There is a winner in you. You were created to be successful, accomplish your goals, to leave your mark on this generation. You have greatness in you. The key is to get it out. 413. Look for others to bless. Let me ask you, who are you serving? Who are you being good to? Who are you lifting up? Be on the lookout for others you can bless. God puts people in our lives on purpose so we can brighten their days. You should get up every morning and say, God, show me my assignment today. Help me to be sensitive to the needs of those around me. I once baptized nearly 800 people on one Saturday. Among them was an older man who'd had a stroke. He couldn't walk at all. They rolled him up in a wheelchair. To get in the church baptistry, you have to go up some stairs and then walk downstairs into the water. The younger man pushing him in the wheelchair was about my age. You could tell that he really cared about the man. He went to great lengths to make sure he was okay. A couple of men helped the older man stand up. Then the younger man put his arms under his legs and his back so he could carry the elderly man into the water, just like you would carry a sleeping baby. It was a very moving scene, watching the younger man go out of his way to help someone so determined to be baptized despite his age and disabilities. With the young man's help, we were able to baptize the elderly man. After we returned him to his wheelchair, I asked the younger man, "Is that your father?" He shook his head no. "Is he your uncle or your relative?" I asked. The younger man explained that they just met in church a few weeks earlier. He said that on the Sunday I announced the baptism date, the older man in the wheelchair turned to him and said, "I wish I could be baptized. I always wanted to, but I had this stroke. I knew I should have done it sooner." The young man offered to help him achieve his goal to be baptized. The elderly man said he didn't have any family to bring him to church, explaining that he normally took a bus that served people in wheelchairs. The young man said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you." He picked up the stranger at his home, helped him to get to the baptism at our church, and carried him in and out of the baptistry. They'd only met once before in church. My prayer is, God, help us all to have that same compassion. Help us not to be so busy, so caught up in our own lives that we miss opportunities to serve others. God is asking you, will you carry someone? Maybe not physically, but will you help lighten their loads? Will you help bring their dreams to pass? Will you go out of your way to be good to them? 414. You've been made in the image of God. When you criticize yourself, you are criticizing God's creation. You're saying, God, you didn't do too good on me. No, God wasn't having an off day when He created you. He calls you a masterpiece. 415. Prepare yourself to be a winner. You may be in a lower position job, doing something that seems insignificant. But you know you have so much more in you. It would be easy to slack off and think, there's no future here. I'll prepare as soon as I get out of this place, when good breaks come my way, or when the boss promotes me. Maybe then I'll take some courses, lose a few pounds, have a better attitude, and buy some nicer clothes. That's backward. You must start improving right where you are. Start sharpening your skills while you're waiting. Study your manager's work habits. Study your best supervisor. Learn how to do their jobs. Be ready to step into those shoes. When God sees you prepare yourself, then He opens new doors. The scripture says, a man's gifts makes room for him. If no new doors are opening, don't be discouraged. Just develop your gifts in a new way. Improve your skills. You might feel that your supervisors aren't going anywhere right now, but if you outgrow them, outperform them, outproduce them, and no more than them, your gifts will make room for you. Somewhere, somehow, and some way God will open a door and get you where He wants you to be. Don't worry about who is ahead of you or when your time will come. Just keep growing, learning, and preparing. When you are ready, the right doors will open. The fact is, God may not want you to have your supervisor's position. That may be too low for you. He may want to thrust you right past your boss and put you at a whole new level. I know former receptionists who went from answering the phones to running multi-million-dollar companies. You can. You will. Develop what's in you, and you'll go farther than you can imagine. Have you come down with destination disease? You're comfortable, not learning anything new. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have so much more in you. 4:16. Helping less fortunate people is the closest thing to the heart of God. I will never forget the image of that young man carrying the crippled man into the water. I could understand him doing all that for his father, a relative, or a longtime friend, but this was a stranger he just met in our church. He took off his Saturday when he could have been working out, going to the beach, or hanging out with friends. There would have been nothing wrong with just relaxing, but his attitude was, I have an assignment. God has put someone in my path to serve that I can make a difference in his life and brighten his day. Jesus said, when you do it to the least of these, you're doing it unto me. I love the fact this young man wasn't looking for credit. He wasn't announcing, I'm doing a good deed, look at me. He didn't have anyone cheering for him. He was just quietly serving this man. Nobody would have known they were strangers if I hadn't asked. Remember that when you are good to others and go out of your way to be a blessing, or when you make sacrifices no one knows about, God sees what you are doing. He sees your heart of compassion. Maybe no one else on this earth is singing your praises, but up there all of heaven is cheering you on. 4:17. Dare to believe. If you think, trickle, you will receive a trickle. If you think, barely get by, then you will barely get by. If you think that your problem is too big, it will keep you defeated. But if you will learn to think, flood, you will experience a flood. If you think, overflow, you'll experience an overflow. If you dare think, tidal wave, then God can release a tidal wave of his goodness in your life. This is what Jesus said, according to your faith it will be done unto you. 4:18. Cheers in heaven. As a leader of Lakewood Church, I receive rewards for my work from those who thank me, clap for me, and cheer me on. I'm very grateful and very flattered. But when no one is clapping for you, when you're not being thanked, or no recognition comes your way, don't become discouraged and think you're being overlooked. Your reward will be greater. If people give you credit, then you have received a portion of your reward. When nobody gives you credit, then the scripture says, what you do in secret, God will reward for you in the open. When it comes time for the rewards to be passed out, some of us in the front will have to step back. Then there will be greater rewards handed out to those who worked behind the scenes. There will be accolades to the volunteers who worked year after year without recognition, and for those unselfish individuals, like this young man, who sacrificed to help somebody's dream come to pass, who quietly and without fanfare gave their time, money, and energy. 4:19. There are tests we have to pass. One of them is being faithful when nothing is changing, doing our best when it's not growing, being good to people that are not being good to us. 4:20. Keep your vision in front of you. Are you believing for a child? Go buy a baby's outfit and hang it in your closet where you can see it every day. Keep your vision in front of you. A friend of mine who wanted a child decorated her whole baby's room, bought the bed and the stroller, spent all this time, money, and energy. Her friends thought she was a little far out, preparing a baby's room with no baby on the way. But she understood this principle: what you keep in front of you, you are moving toward. A year went by and still no baby. 2 years, no baby. 5 years. 10 years, she didn't get discouraged. She kept thanking God that her baby was on the way. All through the day when she'd walk by that baby's room, the seed was growing. It didn't look like anything was happening, but she was moving toward it. 20 years later she had not one baby, but 2. The stroller didn't work. The bed was out of date. She didn't care. She had her babies,